Good morning. Preeti ma'am. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning.
Distinguished delegates and participants, it's my pleasure to extend a cheerful welcome to you all for day 3 of 5-day Women Empowerment webinar series. Today's webinar topic is finding opportunities in the midst of problems. The empowered woman is powerful beyond measures and beautiful beyond the description. There is no tool for development more effective than empowerment of women. This is the motto for our 5D Women Empowerment webinar series. In this glorious moment, I extend my warm wishes on behalf of Department of IT, St. Joseph Institute of Technology. I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to our chairman, Dr. Babu Manogaran, our managing director, Mrs. Jessie Priya ma'am, our director, Mrs. Sashi Shekhar sir, and our beloved principal, Dr. Ravichandran, for giving us the opportunity to host this webinar. I want to convey my heartfelt welcome to Preeti Daniel, who is the Group HR Manager at Trua Tech Solutions, an Australian-based next-gen technology company. She also serves as a woman empowerment evangelist at You Are Loud, an NGO that works towards empowering communities through education, employment, and enlightenment. Preeti's passion has always been working among government school children, less privileged women, and transgender community. She does various programs to help them identify their potential and unleash their potential. Preeti is a commerce graduate from Women's Christian College and did her management studies at SRM Ishwari Engineering College. She started her career at the financial service industry and scaled up on a fast track growth. Then she decided to be on her own and started PD Consulting Services, a consulting company to help people get employment. She continued to do it as her part time. Preeti is a recipient of Advantage Women Awards by ICICI Bank, Linus Award Inspiring Young Women, Linus Award Women with the Golden Heart by VR1S Foundation, and Wonder Woman Award by GEO India Foundation. We are happy to have such a great personality here. Without any further delay, I invite Madam Preeti now. Welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. So, can I preside over?
Yeah, ma'am. You can
Thank
start.
you. Thank you so much for giving me this amazing opportunity. Thank you, Dr. S. Kalarani, ma'am, Niroshni Infantina, and Priscilla, madam, for inviting me. And it is really a pleasure and a privilege to be talking to women. And I personally appreciate you all to be having made such an initiative as a 5-day program for women, exclusively for women. That is something that I really wanted to appreciate. So, the topic that I have chosen today is finding opportunities in the midst of problems. I really wish that this program is going to be very interactive. So, good morning to all, each and every one of the participants here. And please do start asking questions right as I go with the session so that we can just have it answered at the end of the session. So, as I said, the topic is finding opportunities in the midst of problems. A pandemic situation like this is quite an unusual one. It is not something very common, it is quite very unusual. So, such a situation is not going to be a very, what is it, what, not a common one. So, in such a situation, it is very important that we choose a very unusual way to address the problem that is. Um, 1 minute, I'll just start sharing my screen. So a problem, no, choosing a very unusual way to address a problem is very important. So as we move across, I want to tell you that each and every human being born on this earth have problems. They go through problems. I don't think that there could be any one person on this earth who can say that no, I don't have even one single problem. Everyone is having problem, but how you handle is very important. And myself being a woman, I know what my fellow women face as a problem. Women have hundreds of problems. They have problems at home, they have problems at workplace, they have problems in their extended families, they have problems in society, and they have problems everywhere they go. Going alone is a problem, and just doing anything is a problem for a woman. How they dress is a problem. But I want to tell you that this morning I really wanted to encourage and motivate every woman here that there is something called as opportunity. That is the way to address a problem. So there is, I don't think anyone who have come across such problems would not have an opportunity to solve a problem. So there is an opportunity, but how you find an opportunity is the $1,000,000 question. So as we move on, I just wanted to ask a question. What is the problem? If there is anyone who can interact, it will be very nice. If you can Google it, is okay. Or if you, in your own words, you can say what a problem is. Anyone there? Fine. To me, actually, as I evolved in my earlier years, I have had a lot of problems. And one problem that I had is being an average student. I'm not a mediocre student, but a very average student. I don't think anyone who have journeyed with me in the earlier years would ever think that I also could be someone as what I am today. People see me as a solution provider. I never knew that I could provide solutions to someone's problem. But I want to tell you that you need not be a very extraordinary person to give a solution to someone's problem. You can just be an ordinary person. But all you need to know is the how you empathize to someone's problem is what will lead you to actually be willing to be available to provide someone a solution. So as I move on, I wanted to show what a problem is. In simple, as how the dictionary says, a problem is a situation that is unsatisfactory and causes difficulties for people. That's what the Colin Coville says. And the next one is very simple, but I like this very much. The definition of a problem is something that has to be solved or an unpleasant or undesirable condition that needs to be corrected, says your dictionary. What I like the most about this one is that this definition clearly says that there is just no problem that can be left unsolved, or there is no problem on this earth that cannot be corrected. So this definition clearly says that if there is a problem, it has to be solved, and if there is a problem, it has to be corrected. So be assured that if you have a problem, you always have a solution. And if you have a problem, you always have a chance or an opportunity to correct it. Next, we move on to what we can see what is an opportunity. So what an opportunity is, see what the dictionary says. An opportunity is a situation in which it is possible for you to do something that you wanted to do. So it is not impossible. It is always possible. But you actually, whatever you feel in your heart, there is always a possibility that you could do something. At the same time, your dictionary says the definition of an opportunity is a favorable situation for a positive outcome. So you can always be in a place where you can bring positivity in lives of people. You can bring positivity to your problem itself. So in this lockdown days, I saw a lot of problems. I saw a lot of problems inside my house. I saw a lot of problems outside. And we all saw a lot of problems. We couldn't get essential goods. We couldn't move around as we liked. We couldn't go to our family function, which we thought is very important. We couldn't just go out for anything. We couldn't go to our workplace. Everyone was stressed. That was a huge problem for each one of us. But I, as a social worker, what I saw as a problem are these. These are the four. There were several problems, but out of which the four that I saw was, as a social worker, what hit me hard was the migrant workers problem. The hungry people, the problem of the hungry people, it was very hard to watch actually. The domestic violence and abuse that women had to go through, the problem of unemployment. These four really hit me hard. that I really found it very difficult to even pass a day to see what the society goes through. That is when I decided, let me find out opportunities. Why should I just be worrying about the problem? I can also be a solution provider in some way that I can. So what I thought was, when I saw the migrant workers one Saturday evening, I just, along with my husband, we just went out for to just help a person who wanted to have a need for dialysis. So we just went, and when we came back, we just saw a group of migrant workers standing there under a flyover. We have been, all of you, even including you and me, we have been seeing a lot of migrant workers traveling to their hometown, walking thousands of kilometers. Some made it, some never made it. It really broke my heart. I personally thought what it was something that was happening in some other state, some other northern state, and we were just watching that. But it really broke me. But to my shock, I saw it right outside my house under a flyover. People have started walking. I really stumbled upon that situation. People carrying some 10 or 15 bags, a lean old man carrying so much bags, unable to walk, without food, without no place even to sit. That really broke me. Then I just watched them, and I came home. I came home because myself being a woman, I had a lot of things to do at home. I have a 3-year-old to look after. So I just came home. I finished my cooking. Finished my daily course. I had to feed my daughter. I have to settle her down. I finished everything. And at around 3 or 3:30, my husband and I just went out again to just go and ask those four people what we can do. And we found a way for them. And we saw 300 to 400 people standing there, and it was a shock for our life. And we thought, what we can do for them. I'll come to that again. And next was the hungry stricken people. There were a lot of people out there who lost job opportunities. So there were a lot of daily wage workers. Our housemates couldn't come to our house to work. Everyone stumbled as to what we can do for the daily life. No, the vegetable vendors lost their work. The simple fruit seller, the person who sells flowers, everything from even business people, everyone lost. But people who are daily wage workers were affected big time. The transgender community, the tribal community, who just made little money sitting in the beaches, they all suffered big time. So we saw those hungry people and wondered what we can do. And next was a huge problem, which really hit me hard again. It was the domestic violence and abuse that women had to go through. It was the talk of the town. It was the talk of the entire nation. How lockdown had made so many women suffer, because being at home is not something that is we are very used to it. So when we are being at home, there are a lot of problems. It affects our mental well-being. The children at home is a huge thing. You need to manage them. If suppose your husband is a working person, and you are a homemaker, or you are a working professional, you need to handle Zoom meetings. Your husband need to handle Zoom meetings. While at the same time, you need to ensure that your husband is at work. Your child shouldn't be disturbing. There are a lot of things. So there are problems that came in. It became like abuse and violence. That was a huge problem. And again, the next one was unemployment. Unemployment again was a huge thing. Many people lost their jobs. Many people were just waiting outside the watchmen's. Everyone from the blue collar to the white collar, people lost, and it is a very huge problem that is going to hit us very hard. Already it has hit us, but still it is. So we were thinking what we can do about this. So that is when we started finding opportunities to give solutions. As I said, with the migrant workers, the first thing that we did was I wanted to show this. I wanted to say about the Sikhi and Sikhi's wife with their 4 months old baby. So you could all see the picture. While I said that we were just waiting to see the migrant workers as to how we can help, we just went there. As I said, we went there to the flyover to see who are there, and we were shocked to see hundreds of migrant workers standing there under the flyover. We just went there and we saw a lot of police people standing, and even they were helpless. They just said, we just went there and offered if we can do something to them, because ourselves, being an NGO, we wanted to help them in some way. And the police were like, we are also helpless, madam. We are also helpless, sir. If you could do something, please do, because we don't have anything at the moment to do. So we asked them if they had some food or something, and the police said no, they haven't had any food since yesterday, and they're just here. They didn't go out anywhere for the basic needs. They just here. So we didn't know what to do. There were a lot of problems there because we didn't know the language in which they interact. We didn't know what to do for them, because they have a lot of things to say, but they couldn't say us because we don't understand their problem. So we just had to talk with a lot of officials. We pulled in our friends who could talk in their language, and finally we made some arrangements. We sent them to shelters. We actually spoke with the house owners and lot of to just accommodate them. Probably we'll collect the rent and pay for them. So a lot of things we had to do. But this family really, oh, it really was a very hard sight to see, because the 4-month-old baby, we really don't know how they could beat the summer heat. It was May month and the baby was suffering so much. So we just didn't know what to do, but we know that we could do something. If we are there in such a situation, we are definitely there to help. So we just went there, offered them a chance. We just said them, why don't you come with us? We don't know them. They don't know us. But we said, why don't you come with us? Just stay in our house. We just wanted to help you. But we don't want you to go to some shelter with this 4-month-old baby where there is no fan, or you don't have a room. You don't have anything. So better come home, just stay with us one night, and the next morning let us find if there are any opportunities. They were also quite fearful because they didn't know why should some stranger come and call us at home, call us to their home. Why should they do that? They had a lot of questions, but we said we'll help them, and we somehow persuaded them, made them stay in our sheltered place. And the next morning we just rejoined them with the group, and they traveled to Assam with their 4-month-old baby. Even till day, I have touch with them. They still don't know why we wanted to help them. But to us, it was an opportunity to serve. An opportunity to serve was something always wanted to serve as a family, but we got that opportunity. So that is how. And similarly, we helped them, and we moved across to the migrant workers group, and you could see another picture where there are a lot of people standing there. So we just helped them, and we helped a lot of people travel to their hometowns like Assam, Bihar, Orissa, and Kerala. So that was an opportunity for us to serve these migrant workers. And next, as I said, was the hungry people. What? No, when we were just talking with them, with the people, they said that it has been a day since we ate the last food. We taught our children to live with food. No, we just taught our children that they can have their food just for one day, once in 2 days. We practiced them. So that is what they said. It really was very bothersome. How could a small kid just stay without food for first 48 hours? But the parents say that we don't have food, we don't have anything. So we actually woke them very late, like 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock, so that we can skip a meal. And we made sure that they drink water or something like that. We don't brush their teeth, because if they brush their teeth or drink some water or something, they would feel hungry. So we practiced them like that. And they were old women who were on the streets who said that I used to be selling flowers, madam. I used to be selling vegetables, but now I don't find anything. So that was the case. And we saw some tribal people, and they said that they used to sell garlands, um, for the beads, the garlands, and they said that we lost our opportunity. And we saw hundreds of people. Even people, the woman, the helper woman who worked at our home said that used to work in 5 homes and she was stopped. She didn't know what to do. She was just she didn't know what she can do for the next month, because she had lot of no, she had 3 children, so they were all stuck. So what we thought was, in this time of COVID, if suppose we are alive, if we are existing, and we definitely have a purpose, that is what my husband and I decided. So we thought we'll initiate something called as COVID care. So COVID care project is an initiative where we started finding hundreds and thousands of needy people, and we decided that we provide food, in the form of provisions. So what we created was, we created a provisional kit, worth a small amount, where they can have rice and dal and sugar, rava, all those basic needs, and we just packaged it, and we just spread the word around to the donors who can come and help. So the donors played a very important role. They started providing. They believed in us that they were doing something. So we just grabbed that opportunity, because they wanted to help but they couldn't go out. So we used it as an opportunity, and we collected money from them. Then we made provisional kits, and we reached out to a lot of people. We started in March, and by the end of May, we were able to reach 5,000 plus families. That was that was the greatest opportunity that we could get. So we just didn't want to settle down with that as problem. Yes, the problem is that people are sleeping hungry, people are going to bed without food, but we just didn't want it to stop there, citing as a problem, but we wanted to grab as an opportunity. So we met a number of transgender community people, where transgender people who said, we used to go for asking money, but there is no shop open. So we said that we just picked a person from there, and we said that we will give an opportunity, because in the transgender people, they say that they wanted to serve, they wanted to help, they wanted to be useful, but no one is accepting us. That is what they say. So we said, we will give you an opportunity. You just go around, find out needy people within your circle, bring it to us, and we will help them. But it is an opportunity for you to serve, and they happily agreed it. Once they got a satisfaction of getting something, she was ready. That person was ready to go around. So she went around. She found 132 families uh, who had physically challenged children. She brought them to us, and we provided provision in case. Similarly, we were able to meet a number of uh, no, we were able to meet the needs in Orissa, in West Bengal, in Kerala, and Maharashtra, and again in our own state. So we were so happy that we were able to help them. So next, as we move on, so this slide will show you how we actually met their needs. We actually offered the migrant workers to pay their rent. We spoke with their owners. We negotiated with the owners. We tried to reduce the rent, and we helped them with some money, so that they can at least stay in their hometown, in their rooms, until a travel was arranged for them by the government. And we also offered to recharge their phones, because they all wanted to communicate to their hometowns, to their families, that they couldn't, because they don't have money, and they don't have money in their phone as well. So then we provided food. And by this, actually, we were able to meet 1,000 plus migrant workers. And again, through COVID care, we actually created, because we started helping a lot of people, and we reached 5 lakhs plus people on their needs. But we didn't know how to track. We didn't know how we can make volunteers track them. So we used technology as an opportunity. So we created an application called as Shake Poverty. That we created an application where we can track how many people are needy, and how many volunteers can help them, and how we can reach them. So Shake Poverty is a technology platform that we created. And this July, we have decided, because since the lockdown is extended, we thought this July we'll make it as a mission 10K, where we thought that we have decided, and we are still doing, to meet 10,000 families in July. So that is our mission. So this is the screen that you see is Shake Poverty, where this is one of the screenshots. So we were able to reach 70 thousand odd people. It's an old screenshot, but we have crossed 5 lakhs plus people, and so this is how we were actually meeting the needs. And the next thing is domestic violence and abuse. Everywhere we could hear that in the newspapers. When we see a lot of news about domestic violence, about domestic abuse. It is the stress of something very unusually staying at home, interacting a lot, and official pressures, peer pressures, a lot of things. It led to domestic violence. We were thinking what we could do, and we just came out with an initiative which is called as I Am Safe. I Am Safe is an initiative. We are actually planning to launch it in the coming week or the next week. What we thought was we'll create a safe community for women where they can feel, where they can share, they can feel cared. So what we thought was, it is a big picture. In the big picture, we wanted to create a world where there will be no violence against women, no abuse against women, no one will exploit women. That is what is there in a big picture. So we thought we'll bring all the women together in a community space where they can share, where they can feel heard. Us women, more than finding a solution, sometimes when we have problems we just want someone to listen. So we thought we'll have a community where they can share. And for this, how do we reach the women is the next question. So we thought we'll create a technology platform for women who go through domestic violence, rape and abuse, where they can have access to counselors, where they can have access to medical experts, legal experts who can listen to them, who can advise them, and who can assist them. This is actually going to be quite huge because there's a huge need. Us Indian women, we hesitate a lot to go to a judicial system because of the pressure from our society, because of what people may think. Even just telling that I face domestic violence at home is a problem, because what will be the thought about my family? I've been so well enough, my family has got such a reputation, I come from such a background, but what do we do? That is a huge thing that Indian women face. So this is actually going to be, we're going to take it global, but to begin with, we thought we'll start with India. We'll just tell our women that you're not alone at this situation. We are here to listen to you. We are here to tell you that you're not alone. Don't get depressed. Don't come to a different bad conclusion. You are there as a very important role for a family, for your children. I tell you, is a powerful force. No, she has the responsibility to provide positivity to the family. So I wanted to tell every woman watching out here, you're not alone. You're not alone. You're a wonderful daughter. You're a wonderful mother. You're a wonderful friend to someone. You're a wonderful wife. That is okay if you feel unvalued at this moment. That is okay, but you are full of worth. So, with this I Am Safe, I tell you, I will definitely come and meet you with this I Am Safe. Please do join us. Please do come and touch with us. Your ideas and your no involvement is very important to us. Let us all women gather together, help other women who is in trouble. Let us make this world a better place. No, a woman can raise a generation, and a woman can build a nation with a powerful generation. So this is what about I Am Safe. So for the domestic violence problems, we thought we'll use this as an opportunity to bring something called as I Am Safe, to make sure that women are safe, and women are no women can build a better place with powerful women. So that is what we wanted to do. And the next problem I'm just running through because I just think that I'm running short of time. The next is thing is the shake unemployment. What we thought with the shake unemployment was, we wanted again to bring it as a technology platform, because we being at home, the only option that we have to connect with people is technology. So that is why we chose technology as a platform to reach out. Unemployment is a huge problem. I have a lot of people connecting to me in LinkedIn saying that I have lost my job. I used to be working in play school, but the play school has closed. I used to be working in an office, but my office is out of business, so they have laid me off. So there are a lot of things. So with this unemployment, I see that this unemployment is going to be a very huge problem even after lockdown, because people need to go, the business have to get restarted. So what we thought was to take a step, to take an effort to make sure that we create a platform where people who lost jobs can come and just upload themselves, or ask someone who can assist, a volunteer, a person who can just upload that they are in need, and volunteers can actually find out where there are job opportunities, connect them. And that is what we thought we'll create in this platform. So that we are working on something called a shake unemployment. So with this initiative, we believe, and we are hopeful that we will be able to solve a lot of people who can be employed. So with all these things, I feel that if we are there in such a time as this, then we definitely have a purpose. So with this, so these are the opportunities I saw for my problems. The migrant worker problems, we created the migrant workers mission. For the hungry people, we created COVID care mission 10K through Shake Poverty application. No, through which Shake Poverty application was able to track. The domestic violence, I am safe was an opportunity. For unemployment, Shake unemployment was an opportunity for us. So this is why I say every problem that we face, we have an opportunity to serve, to share. One story I wanted to say at the end. I know a person. Um she was an acid attack victim at the age of 23. She always wanted to say that she doesn't wish to be called as an acid attack victim, while she always wanted to be called as an acid attack ambassador. She was attacked at the age of 23. That was the biggest problem that she could face. Or even if it happens to us, that is the biggest problem that we could ever face, because it affects our mental well being, it affects our physique. A woman who is so careful about her physique, how she looks. You and I, as women, we go and see the mirror as to how we look, but when that very identity is torn, is taught, when it is dismantled, it affects her so much. But she never settled because she was disfigured. Her neighbors saw her as a person, as a fear factor. The little children saw her as a fear factor. There were many people who just moved aside from her because she was disfigured, because they were scared. But she never settled in that. She thought, I'm like this, but I'm still alive. So what I'll do is, that is my problem. But she said that is my problem, but I'm very sure that my fellow women also who have been attacked by acid has that problem. So what do I do? Let me actually find a solution, and that solution, let me also give it to that person, to the other people who are suffering. That opportunity was a very bold opportunity to grab. She grabbed it, and she found so many people under a program that she initiated. She found hundreds of acid attacked women. She brought them all together. She encouraged them. She motivated them to do something that they can do. That is okay if you're disfigured and if you're not employed elsewhere. Start your own business. Start it simple. Start it as a tailoring unit. Start it as a person who can sell clothes. That is what she motivated. And today, she has touched hundreds and thousands of women who are attacked by acid, having their own money making businesses. So that problem that she faced, that she picked as an opportunity to help herself and also to help people around her. So with this, I wanted to say that if suppose you are alive at this point of time, you definitely have a great purpose. If you're up and alive this morning, be assured that your existence has a very great purpose. You're not an accident in this world. You're not just born because of some something beyond the nature. You are born for a purpose. You've been designed for a beautiful purpose. Each and every woman has a great purpose, and especially during this lockdown time, a woman has so much pressure because she has to wear multiple hats as a wife, as a daughter, as a mother, as a teacher, as a person who is seen as a solution provider. So you have in your hands a very important thing called as being a person who can bring emotional strength to the family, the physical strength to the family. You cook, that adds a physical strength to the family. You have a happy face all the time, that adds the emotional strength to the family. Because as the saying says, educate one woman and she educates her generation, and with that generation the nation gets uplifted. So being a woman, never just settle for the less. One woman can make a difference. So just do something for your family and you will raise a great generation. Your sons will be raised as a greater generation. No, your daughters will be as a great generation and your society will be great. So with this, I want to tell you that women, you are a powerful force. Just don't settle for the less. Grab every opportunity that comes your way. That is okay if you have lost a wonderful opportunity as an entrepreneur. Keep trying. Keep trying. I know a friend of mine who says that she wanted to cook something, but she didn't know how to cook. So she saw in a YouTube channel and started cooking. And one fine day, she started a YouTube channel, and she was a simple homemaker. No, sorry to say that actually a homemaker is not a simple thing because I've also been as a homemaker. Once, oh, no, it is not an easy job. But don't just settle in your heart that you're just a homemaker. No, not just a homemaker. I know that friend of mine who felt that she was just a homemaker, but she started learning cooking and she started a YouTube channel and she has 33.3 lakhs followers now. And there are so many other women, so many other people, bachelors looking out to her recipes. To not, it's just the opportunity that you choose. Just leave no opportunity, just leave no stone unturned. Just keep finding, and you will definitely come out just flying. So again, I wanted to tell you that you can see my mail ID if you wanted to contact me. Just contact me if you want any help, and if you wanted to see any opportunity, if you wanted to get involved in whatever I've been doing, just come. I'm available in LinkedIn as Preeti Daniel. I'm available in Facebook with the same name, Preeti Daniel. So you can reach out to me. And I wanted to tell you that if you are up and alive this morning, then be assured your existence has a very great purpose. Just let's live. Just let's help our fellow women, and just let's spread brightness wherever we are. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And I'm open to questions and answer session. If suppose you have any question, please do ask me and I'll be very happy to answer. Thank you so much.
If you have any questions, the participants can type it in the chat box.
I see a question. Is that a question?
You can able to see the chat box, ma'am.
The thing for which we cannot be able to find the solution is defined as a problem. Is that a question? No, if you think, what I understood from this is that if you're not able to find the solution, it is a problem. But that is what I'm saying. There is just nothing on this earth that there is no solution. There is a solution. There are solutions because there is nothing. There is just nothing called as a problem which doesn't have a solution. Every problem has a solution, and it is up to us as to how we see a problem. Just give hope to yourself and say that problem is just nothing. I have so many solutions. So one solution may not work, but keep trying with another solution, keep applying. You definitely will overcome the problem. Is there anything else?
Dear participants, if you have any questions, you can type it in the chat box. Ma'am is ready to interact with you. Ma'am, there is one question. How to find ourselves whether we got any depression? Is there any symptoms?
Okay. I'm not a medico by profession, but when I feel very low, and with my example, I can say when I feel very low, and when I feel depressed, what I feel is that I'm not able to concentrate on something that I really liked a lot. Probably I like painting, but I'm no longer able to concentrate on painting. I'm not getting that energy. I'm not able to think clearly. I'm not able to sleep. I'm not able to concentrate on something. These are things that which can tell that you are not okay. So in that case, just find someone who is who would be able to listen to you, who would be able to just share. At least have one person in your life whom you can trust, whom you can go to, and just sharing will actually reduce that pressure on you. So since I'm not a medico by profession to say how a depression actually looks like, but I have been through depression, I have been through my low times, but that is when I felt that even something that I enjoyed most, by doing something, I never was able to enjoy it when I was low. So that is when I found that I'm in trouble. So if you are like that, just do reach out to someone who can listen to you without judging you. Is there any other question?
Thank you, ma'am. We'll end up the session with a vote of thanks. Thank you, ma'am. On behalf of St. Joseph Institute of Technology, I take this opportunity to propose the vote of thanks on this webinar on 5D of Women Empowerment organized by our Information Technology Department. At the outset, I thank our resource person, Mrs. Preeti Daniel, Group HR Manager, Ruha Tech Solutions, Chennai. We are really enlightened and encouraged with your topic on finding opportunities in the midst of problems. The meaningful and interesting ideas refreshed us with the thought helping one person might not change the whole world, but it could change the world for one person. The vibration of your presentation attracts us with more positive thoughts into our lives. Thank you, ma'am, for sparing your precious time in spite of your extremely busy schedule to enhance the three dimension of women empowerment. I could like to extend a special thanks to our patrons, Dr. P. Babu Manogran sir, our chairman of St. Joseph's Group of Institutions, our managing director, Mrs. B. Jessipriya ma'am, our director, Mr. B. Sashishekar sir, and our beloved principal, Dr. P. Ravichandran sir, for all their inspiring words of wisdom, what radiated a source of energy within us. Thanks to all who have helped us in making this seminar a very resounding success. Our heartfelt thanks to all the empowering women for your active participation. We come to the end of this lively gathering, expecting you all for the day 4 on the topic Women's Fitness. Thank you all once again.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.